Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and I have this article. It's from CGTN.com. It says Russia's to deploy the Sarmat missiles by autumn in historic nuclear upgrade. Russia said it planned to deploy its newly tested Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, capable of carrying several hypersonic weapons by autumn. Colonel General Sergei Karakayev, the commander of the Russian military strategic missile forces, said in televised remarks on Sunday that the new Sarmat ICBM is designed to carry several Avangard hypersonic glide vehicles. And Avangard is the advanced guard, so what goes before. Russia's defense ministry said the Sarmat was test fired for the first time on Wednesday from Plesitis. Well, I can't pronounce that. Whatever. Launch facility in northern Russia, and its practice warheads have successfully reached mock targets on the Kura firing range on the far eastern Kamchatka Peninsula. The Sarmat is capable of carrying 10 or more nuclear warheads and decoys. The launch of this super weapon was a historic event that would guarantee the security of Russia's children and grandchildren for the next 30 to 40 years, which is not true. They don't have 30 to 40 years, Lord willing, because Yahweh Shai is coming to take them down. And this was said by Dmitry Rogozin, head of the Roscosmos Space Agency. Russian President Vladimir Putin hailed the Sarmat launch as a major achievement, claiming that the new missile has no foreign equivalent and is capable of penetrating any prospective missile defense. And that is Esau boasting and being proud, just like he was with the Titanic. But he also says that it can penetrate any prospective missile defense, so dodges bullets and other missiles that are sent to shot down this thing. This really unique weapon will strengthen the combat potential of our armed forces, reliably ensure Russia's security from external threats, and make those who in the heat of frantic aggressive rhetoric try to threaten our country think twice, Putin said on Wednesday. Super weapon Sarmat. The Sarmat is a heavy missile that has been under development for several years to replace the Soviet-made Voyevoda, which forms the core of Russia's nuclear deterrent. The military said that the Avangard is capable of flying 27 times faster than the speed of sound, which is really fast, and making sharp maneuvers on its way to the target to dodge the enemy's missile shield. So that's extremely advanced for it to be able to make these different maneuvers to get out of the way of missile defense. In anticipation of the deployment of the Sarmat, the new hypersonic vehicle has been fitted to the existing Soviet-built ICBMs, and the first unit armed with the Avangard entered duty in December of 2019. The director and designer-in-chief of the Makeyev missile maker that developed the Sarmat, Vladimir Degchar, said in televised remarks that its range allows it to fly along any trajectory across north or south poles to hit any target around the world. And so, with that, Russia's coming for Babylon the Great, which is America. But reading this, when I first saw this, my first question was, what is a Sarmat? What's a Sarmat? And so I Googled it. Sarmat meaning in English. I actually went to the etymon at first, and it took me to Sarmatian, and then came here, and it pretty much takes me to the same thing, named after the Sarmatians, which is not to be confused with the Samaritans. These are the Sarmatians, and we'll go to that, Lord willing, in just a moment. It says sometimes colloquially known in the West as the Satan II. So this is the exact same missile that we've been hearing about. And Satan means adversary. And so it's the adversary to Babylon. It's a Russian liquid-fueled MIRV equipped super heavy intercontinental ballistic missile under development by the Makeyev Rocket Design Bureau since 2009. It is intended to replace the R-36M ICBM in Russia's arsenal. But I was curious about Sarmatians. And so you go here, and they were a large Iranian confederation that existed in classical antiquity, flourishing from about the 5th century BC to the 4th century AD. And so when you think of Iranians, the ancient name of the Iranians were the Persians. And if we think of who was Persian in the scriptures, yeah, I typed this in too, because Nebuchadnezzar from the book of Daniel, who ran the Babylonian Empire, he had a Persian name. I don't know if he was actually Persian, but he did have a Persian name. And as we know, America is also known as Babylon the Great in the scriptures. But also, we also know that Babylon the Great was conquered by the Persians, the Medo-Persian Empire. And so I just thought that was spiritual to see that they gave it this name, because the Persians are who took down the Babylonians. And also, to go back, these Sarmatians ended up going into basically what's Russia today. So, yeah, down here. Since large parts of today's Russia, specifically land between the Ural Mountains and the Don River, were controlled in the 5th century BC by the Sarmatians, the Volga, Don, and Ural steppes sometimes are called Sarmatian motherland. And so Russia took this name and named their missile after it. It's also called the Satan II, but it goes into ending Babylon, because the Persians are who conquered Babylon. And you can see that in Daniel 5, when Nebuchadnezzar's grandson, I believe, was conquered by Darius, which we should just go right to it. And Daniel was asked to read the writing that the hand wrote on the wall, and it's many, many tekel to call Upharsim. And interpretation of it was many. The Most High hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. To call, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, who I believe was Nebuchadnezzar's grandson or great-grandson, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night was Belshazzar the king of the Chaldeans slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. So he's 62, and took the kingdom from Belshazzar. But that article I thought was interesting, just to see how it's all spiritual, and it's Babylon still being taken down by the Persians, the Medo-Persians. This is Isaiah 54:16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. In today's modern, the smith of today would be the scientists and the engineers that are creating these weapons, and specifically the ICBMs, and that weapon that's over there right now, the Sarmat 2, or the Satan 2, the Sarmat. And they created this, but it's all through the Most High, Yahweh, who created the smith, and he put the thoughts into their heads on how to create this and even how to name it. And that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. And there's that nuclear fire that's going to destroy Babylon the Great. It's Revelation 13:1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise out of the sea being peoples, nations, and tongues, as described in Revelation, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The 7 heads pertaining to the different kingdoms of Esau, which would be the Greeks, the Romans, the Germania Major, Slovakia, and Germania Minor, the Spanish, the French, and the British. Those are the 7 heads, and the 10 horns pertain to the EU, and upon his, or the NATO and the EU, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and in the scriptures who is described as a leopard, that is Alexander the Great, because of the speed at which he conquered. And so this is speaking of Greece, because they're the start of Esau's kingdoms. That's when, he says that's when civilization began, was with the Greeks, even though we know that not to be true. And his feet were as the feet of a bear, and that bear is the Russians, because they're going to end Esau's rulership. And his mouth is the mouth of a lion, pertaining to the Britons. And the dragon, which are the elite, gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And that dragon, back in the garden, was just a little serpent. And he's grown even more larger and more wicked and ferocious into a dragon. This is Joel 2. And this is here, we'll just start up here. Joel 2, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. As the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. This is referring to the missiles. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the garden of Eden before them, as in paradise, and behind them a desolate wilderness. That's because once those missiles explode, there will be nothing left. Yeah, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses and as horsemen. So shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap. Like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble. As a strong people set in battle array. Because those missiles are going to come over in formation just like soldiers. Before their face the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march every one on his ways. And they shall not break their ranks. And in the article, we saw that Putin said nobody can shoot it down. They can actively move out of the way of missile defense. And they shall not break their ranks. And breaking rank is moving out of formation, moving out of military formation. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one on his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run up upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. And this is them hitting. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And the Lord Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army, because the missiles are his army. He created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. He created this. And the Lord Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great, for he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of the Lord Yahweh is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? Absolutely no one, except for the elect, and Lord willing, we are part of the elect. And I'll go to Zechariah 14 and 4. No. Salakia. Zechariah 14 and 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And that's what's going to happen when those nukes finally hit. You could think of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and Sarah Connor just standing there and melting away. Their eyes is in their future. It's just consuming away. And their tongue, or their blasphemous tongue, it's just going to go away. Their mouths must be stopped. And that's the prophecies. That's the prophecies in the scriptures. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. With that, I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakah Quadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, and shalom to the elect of Israel.